All right, hey guys, Mr. Kennedy here. We're going to start with Chapter 9, India, Lesson 1, Early Civilizations. Oh my gosh, we're already in India. Years flying by. So it matters. India's geography shaped the rise of the first civilizations in the Indus Valley. So we're going to take some looks at the India. So stick with Mr. Kennedy here. Here we go. Move this over here. Be my first time using this pen, so let's see how it works out. So here we are in Florida, and that's on the North American continent. And so far we've studied two civilizations. We've had Mesopotamia, kind of in that region, the Fertile Crescent in Asia, Mesopotamia, the Tigris, Euphrates. And then we also have studied a continent in Africa. So there's ancient Egypt with the Nile River flowing there. And we're going to go study India. So you might know where India is on a map, but India is going to be right in that section. Now look how big India is. India is going to be called a subcontinent. So we're going to figure out what that is here on the next slide. So that kind of just shows our geography on a world scale and showing that we've studied so far a civilization on the African continent and so far on the Asian continent. So the geography of India. India and the surrounding modern-day countries make up, like I said, a subcontinent. Now, what's a subcontinent? And that's a large landmass that is smaller than a continent. So it's really big, but it's not as big as a continent would be. So let's take a look at some geographic features of India. Now we have some mountains in India. We have the Himalayan mountains to the north, and eastern and western, lush, fertile land on the coastlines. So right there, we have some Himalayan mountains, some really tall mountains right there. And that's a great land barrier between India and China. Erase all of them. I said first time with the pen. Let's get the eraser and erase all of that. Now we also have some rivers. We have the Ganges River in the northeast and the Indus River in the northwest, which brings fertile soil to the north of India. Now right there, we have the Indus River in India, and we have the Ganges River right there. So those are the two rivers that we have in India. Now we have plateaus, and the Deccan Plateau covers 2/3 of India. A plateau is an area of flat, high land. So although the Himalayan mountains are there, there's also going to be a flat area underneath the mountains that's called a plateau, and the Deccan Plateau covers 2/3 of India. Now there's also monsoons in India. Now monsoons are not rain. In winter, monsoons are cold, dry air from the Himalayan mountains. But in summertime, they're warm, wet air and pouring rain. So they're different, and they're not rain. Monsoons are wind. You can see the wind patterns right there. The cold, dry air from the mountains coming up there from the Himalayan mountains. And then you have that warm, wet air coming in the summertime. All right, here's your hot question. Now, my students, your hot questions, they've been getting a little bit better, but let's get on Miss Tickle and Miss Hodges' students' level with our hot questions. What might happen to India's farmers if the monsoon rains did not occur? So think about this, 3 to 5 sentence, going back and using some vocabulary. All right, bye guys.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about the Indus Valley civilization. So you can see in your packet, you have a nice little graphic organizer. We have the Indus Valley cities. Within those city layouts, they were well planned. There was a grid. And this part is really important, and I want you to put the star by it. I need to see the star by it. Well planned grid. This is the first time we are seeing this done. If you look over here at the picture, these are looking like some right angles. Okay, so that means they've planned it out. They're using a grid system for the city. The streets were paved with bricks. We no longer have road streets. They're being paved with the bricks. Bathrooms with indoor plumbing. Oh, thank you, finally, right? Some indoor plumbing. Yes, nothing more needs to be said. Nobody wants outdoor plumbing. It's indoor plumbing now. Houses have flat wooden roofs. The fortress was at the west end of the city, and their building materials were mud bricks. This again is where they're taking that mud and forming it into a brick, letting it bake in the sun so that it gets hard and they can use it to build their homes and fortresses. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the people of the Indus Valley began to abandon their cities around 1900 BC. The possible causes were drought, earthquakes, and floods. A new civilization called the Aryans migrated to India in the meantime. And I can't remember if your packet has the star by it, but if not, I want you putting the star by that. So when the Aryans came to India, they migrated in the Indus River. Okay, they migrated in on the Indus River. You can see me drawing the arrow. They settled in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. These were the first people to settle in India, and Miss Hodges is going to tell you more about them. Okay, bye.
Okay, so we want to talk about Aryan life. So let's just get straight to the point. We're going to talk about tribes living in this region, in the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro area, and if they were led by a Raja or a prince, very well dressed and stately. He would be somebody that everybody would look up to and respect. Then they developed a language, and this is all their culture that we're talking about, and their language was called Sanskrit. So now we've got a third language that we've heard and that we've learned about. And each society, each civilization has its own achievements. So here's some more achievements. These are things that you should be writing down in the A section of grapes for achievements. So here's another opportunity for you to take a moment, fill that in, and then your grapes is going to have some information, and it won't take you quite so long to fill it out. All right, so another achievement that they have is called the Vedas. And the Vedas is the holy book that they have that has lots of stories and lots of wisdom written down. There are songs in here for them to sing to their gods because they are polytheistic and they're going to worship many gods. And so their sacred texts are known as the Vedas. And then for the Aryan society, the family is the center of life. The grandfather is going to be the head of this family. They're going to live together like grandfather, grandmother, mother, father, the children, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. They're going to have a big family that's going to live together. And they're going to live in a city that was well organized and had, oh, Mr. Kennedy's back. So they're going to live in a city that's well organized with lots of people and lots of those lined grid roads where they could travel back and forth. So the last thing we want to think about is what is in this society and the levels of people. So remember, the power structure is that society that we talk about, that social pyramid. So here we're looking at who has power and where did they get it and what do they do with it. So at the top is the Brahmins, and we can't really see the Brahmin guy right here. Maybe I can move me over. Oh, there we go. I can move me over. So he's going to be the priest at the top, the Brahmin. And I'm going to show you something special about the Brahmins in just a second. And now the Kshatriyas, that's the warrior class. Then comes the Vaishyas, which is the business class. Then the Sudras, which is the lowest class of farmers. And those that serve other classes, they're going to serve other people. And down the very bottom is going to be the untouchables, and they are not even on the social pyramid. So let's check that out. Yeah, move me here. There we go. So here we are. Here's our Hindu caste system again. Now we need to fill in our chart. Brahmins. Now the Brahmins are super important because they are at the top of this social pyramid. And I want to show you something about the Brahmins. And this is definitely something that I am going to be looking for in my class. And so will all the other teachers. So Mr. Kennedy, Miss Tickle, they will all be looking for that. I want you to put a box around that I. Because the I in Brahmins represents, and I'm going to try to do my best to write that here, an individual person. Because the all-powerful spirit that they have is known as the Brahman. That is their God that's in all things. And the Brahmins are individuals, okay? So we're going to talk more about that in class, and you'll get more information about that. So these are our priests. There's our Brahmin. Then the next class of people we have are the Kshatriyas, and that's going to be our warrior class. Warriors and governors and rulers of different provinces and things like that. That's going to be that class of people. The next class of people with power, is going to be the Vaishyas. Vaishyas are merchants. These are your artisans and people who sell things, your farmers. These are going to be the people that do the everyday life, the people you're going to see in the marketplace and selling their wares and trading back and forth. That's going to be the Vaishyas. Then we have a group called the Sudras, and the Sudras are your farmers and workers and people who have the types of jobs where they are working for the Vaishyas, maybe bringing vegetables to the marketplace, and they're going to be your building roads, building buildings, building temples. We're going to call these stupas here. We'll talk about that in another lesson, but their worship centers are called stupas. And so this is our caste, our group of people. Now, the thing about this caste, though, and we're going to talk about this later, is once you are born into a specific caste, that is your job forever. You cannot move up and down this caste. It does not matter how much money you make, how good you are, what you do, all of that. In this life, you will be in that caste. You can't marry a Vaishya, cannot marry a Sudra. Sudra cannot marry a Kshatriya. You have to be in your class. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, and you'll get to see the inequality there and get to make some decisions about what you think on that. Now, there is one more group of people that we need to talk about really quickly and then in these video notes so that we can get just the facts and get what we need, and that is the untouchables. They are not even on the social pyramid. We do not give them any credit whatsoever in India on this social pyramid. If you see them coming, you're supposed to yell, "Unclean, unclean," and run away from them. And they're supposed to yell at you to say they are unclean. So you don't know, so that you don't accidentally touch them, because that's a terrible thing. And we'll talk about that in class. And I kind of said that a little wrong. The unclean person, the untouchable, is supposed to yell unclean so that everybody else knows to get away from them. You can't even touch them. That's why they're untouchables. You don't want to go there. So they're not even on the social pyramid. Here is another thing that if I don't see this written on your video notes, you are going to lose points, because this is important information. We need all of the information that we're giving you. It's all important for your test at the end of the year and the things that we have to do. Everything that we give you, that's going to be important, and you're going to need it for future knowledge. So that is the end of our video notes, and that is the end of the caste system. So see you in class, and make sure that you're keeping up with your grapes. Again, I would put this in social structure. Good place to put that. Nice. See you later. Bye.